webinar series. My name is Wilson Chow, and I am the Marketing Manager for the Eastern region. Welcome to today's webinar, Google SketchUp for Designers. For those of you who aren't familiar with us, Microdesk is an Autodesk Gold, Oracle, and Google partner. We provide technology training and consulting solutions for the AEC industry. We have 12 offices located throughout the East and West Coasts with a staff of over 90 consulting and technical specialists. Over the next hour, we will take a closer look at Google SketchUp. Google SketchUp is an easy-to-use tool that helps designers create and edit models in 3D. We'll preview some of the most useful features for designers, like creating a model, manipulating colors and forms, and how to export your models to Google Earth. Presenting today's session is Microdesk Solutions Specialist Angela Doyle. Angela provides technical support, consulting, training, and implementation services to Microdesk's architectural and building engineering clients. She's an experienced designer and specializes in using technologies like AutoCAD, Revit, and SketchUp. Just a few logistics before we begin. In order to minimize any background distractions, you are all on mute for the duration of the session. If you have any questions during the presentation, please type them into the question area of the webinar toolbar to the right of your screen. Angela will address as many questions as she can at the end of the presentation. If we run out of time, we will provide you with our contact information so you can follow up with us. And now I will turn it over to Angela.
Hello, everyone. I hope you can hear me. Okay, so as Wilson said, I am here with Microdesk, and we are going to talk about Google SketchUp 8 today. It was announced in 2010. As you can see, they released it in September. It is a free download for most of the SketchUp tools that we are going to talk about today. There is a paid version as well called Google SketchUp Pro. And it does allow a little more as far as the documentation tools that we do have to offer as far as Google goes. So you can definitely purchase a Google Pro license, and then you would be able to, I've seen definite construction documents come out of SketchUp. It's primarily used for conceptual design. I've seen it used for mechanical parts, buildings, and an entire variation of things. I've seen airplanes built in here as well. It's kind of a fun thing to do and just an easy program to pick up and learn. So we do have a few new tools that we have this year with this release. We have the ability to do model geolocations and directly with Google Maps, so it does incorporate that as well. We can do some color imagery for our more accurate terrain, essentially bringing in a plan image from Google Earth or any kind of image and being able to locate our building or site that way. They do have a few photo match improvements, so we would be able to take a photograph that is a perspective and create a building out of that photograph, which actually is one of the really interesting things that it does for you. And then it does offer a new building maker tool. There are several other tools to use as well with this newer release, but these are just a few of the brief highlights. SketchUp does have its own blog, so you can actually go to the SketchUp blog that is provided by Google. And these are just a few of the topics that they generally try to keep up with and try to add, information for all users out there to be able to get a little bit more out of Google as well. As you can see right there in the middle, they do have a warehouse. It's called the 3D warehouse, which we'll talk about a little bit. It's user-created content that is then loaded to Google, and they do provide it for all of their SketchUp users. There's a complete menagerie of things in here. You can find entire cities modeled, as well as plants, couches, men, things like that. So you'd be able to get a nice variety of components as far as the actual SketchUp model that you're building goes as well. Just like the previous releases, you can create your own custom templates to begin with. If SketchUp is something that you find using in your design all the time, you can definitely create a template just like any other program to be able to start up and begin your design process with kind of a familiar setup, and maybe you want to work in metric versus feet and inches, or you want to have the ground be dirt rather than earth, or rather than grass, the way that it currently is. You can definitely start with a custom template, but it does offer several to choose from. And as you can see, this little window here up in the upper right-hand corner, we do have the option to choose what kind of template that we will be working with as well. So with that, we will go to SketchUp here. If I can ever remember how to get there. There we go. Oh, now that I've got it all selected, let's just try that again. So nice, easy start. Back to Susan. So I'll give it a second to refresh there. Once again, I know that you all saw this, so I'll go or heard this actually, so I'll go through it kind of quickly. Susan is dynamic. Her shirt color does change, just proving that they can do dynamic blocking, dynamic components rather, that you can go ahead and modify. Once again, the lines, they do snap. I can put them in at any kind of increment down in the lower right-hand corner. It does follow axis. Red is going to be your X, green is your Y, and blue is your Z. So I could do another 20-foot wall. Luckily, it's a nice square building, so it doesn't take terribly long. So I can kind of move around and find that axis, close that in, get a surface. It's just a face that I can push and pull, take and offset it. Maybe I want an 8-inch wall. Delete out that middle piece, and I can go ahead and pull this up for a 15-foot building. Nice encompassing Susan there. Same situation for my, I'm going to do a parapet wall, so I want a flat roof in here. I'm going to take and close in that surface, drop this down 4 feet. So I just clicked and dragged down, and it knows to go in a negative direction there as well. And then it was kind of the same idea for the door. So I just drew it up using the arrow keys again to force the direction that I would like to go. So if I do hit up, I can't actually go in any other direction. I have an 8-foot by 3-foot door. Drop that in there, offset that. So very quick to get caught back up where we were. I can take out these base pieces, use that same push and pull tool to maybe give it just an inch reveal. Again, this is not, wouldn't be for construction. It doesn't actually cut through this door. If this particular area wasn't here, this door doesn't show up on the inside. It absolutely can. It's just for exterior visual purposes. It's not necessary to go to those great lengths. So then again, hopefully it's working this time. And again, we can go through the materials. I can specify what I want this door to be made of. I'm going to go with my cherry again. Go ahead and click right on it, and I'm going to get the representation of a cherry door. I can take the entire frame and group it, and then that would allow me to change it all at one time. But in this case, I'm just going to kind of leave it the way it is. And then I'm going to go make my good old stone building here. It's quite attractive. And as you can see, we can do the top as one unit. And then we can get all walls in there. Same thing for the roof. Being that it's a flat roof, we're probably not going to need too much variation in here. Maybe we'll just go with a slate so that we can have something in there as well. So we did just get a quick building, nothing fancy, clearly just for visuals. But we can actually then take this and use a difference of selection methods. So I can do a crossing window just like anything else. Single click does the face. Double click will actually do the face and all of its connection lines. And a triple click, if I can remember, triple click will actually go ahead and select the entire modeling unit. I would then be able to take this and copy it. Copy in SketchUp is just a move that you hit Control, and it'll actually build a copy of that as well. I can actually copy the specific distance. Maybe I want them 50 feet apart. And then the rotate command in here, I would be able to go ahead and just, almost always does this happen backwards, but just rotate that straight away so that they're more facing each other. It's starting to look almost like a jail yard here, but we can go ahead and select both of them, and with the copying, you can actually do more of an array. So I could copy these, let's say, another 50 feet apart, and then I can actually hit like 4x, so 4 times, and it'll go ahead and put an array in there. And while this is still active and going, I haven't done anything else, I can actually change it 3 array, 5 array, and kind of build my scene from there if I need to. So they are all individual buildings, but you would be able to group them very easily. If I come back to just the one, I can group this by right-clicking and hit Group. And what this is really beneficial for is, again, in a mass site layout, is that if one building changes, because it is a group, it's actually going to change all of the other buildings as well. So it just makes it a little bit easier in the long run if there is potential, and there's almost always potential in design that something is going to change. So we want to make sure we give ourselves the ability to actually do that very easily. So I'll flip that guy around again, then I'll grab him, and then one more time with that array. Hit the little plus. I would say 50 feet, enter 3x. And then I have that nice little easy array. So then when it comes time to edit this group, just double click on it. I can edit the group, and maybe in this case I want to change the material that's associated with the walls. Maybe we're going to go with a standing seam wall here, and just kind of put that in there. I'm just going to put it all over that I can see. And because it was a grouped element, it'll go ahead as soon as I'm done. Oh, today, of course, because I said it would. Of course it won't. The group generally will go ahead and update. Maybe just the material doesn't in this case, of course. Never fails when you're trying to show it live like that it doesn't listen and follow the way that it's intended. But we can do several different things like that. A group would generally, any modifications, if I add a window, it would add a window to all of that as well. Along with all of the things that you can build, again, I did mention that there is this warehouse that they do have for you that you can actually get just from Google's website. You can just Google 3D warehouse, and there are definite things in here that become very valuable to many users. So you can go through and pull any kind of tree. We can go through and look through the tree options that we have here. So some nice basic trees, and you'll see there's some more, I guess, dead trees. But I can go ahead and download. I can download the SketchUp 7, and that would be fine. And then I would be able to put those into my model as well. So I can go ahead and open this in SketchUp, and you'll be able to see the tree that we do have to offer here as well. Okay. And there's just a nice easy tree that we can utilize in our SketchUp model as well. So being that it's loaded in here, we should be able to get it into here. See if we can do this. Drop our tree in there, move this guy around to wherever we need to, maybe like make it look a little less jail yard here with a tree or two, and we can get those definite things in there as well. So along with drawing and building things on your own, you can actually also use the photo matching, which is a great tool that most people are very familiar with at this point. But we can go ahead and take this photo mapping, and this is just a generic house, and specify the orientation of the actual points of the image as well. So we can take these lines here, and you just essentially move them around, and then you essentially make them match the orientation of your photo. So in this case, I'm just going to drag this back to match the orientation of my photo real quick. And you can see the grid moving all over. And the purpose of this is that obviously to then help me to be able to draw in this 3D manner so that I can actually take this and map the image itself with this photo. And it actually makes it quite easy and convenient. So I do have just my general house there, and I would be able to go ahead and map my image onto this. So I've got my image in there. I would take my little house here, snap into my corners, draw straight up, get the general outline of my house in here, straight up to here, and I can have that finish, and then I can actually project that image onto my 3D box in this case, or in this case it's actually just two walls. I can go ahead and do that. I can take that and add the extra pieces as needed, so I'd be able to add the roof line as I need to, take this piece out, remap my textures, and then again it'll go ahead and you'll see it update here for me, buddy. Oh, okay. Let's try that one more time. So it'll update this as well. So make sure it gets in the right spot here. A little higher than it needs to be, but you'll get the idea. And so now it wants to be complicated with me all day. I think that the programs know when Friday is here. So you can remap them. I can drop windows in. I'd be able to take them. Let's go from the center here, straight up. There we go. So it it went the correct orientation this time. And then it'll let my photo be over my whole house. So there is my entire building. I can go ahead and group this and rotate it and bring the image in on the other side. Or if I'm going to show it primarily from that orientation, I can just go ahead and finish out my building, and you'll see it snap in there, and I can go ahead and finish that out to be a little more even